What we're going to dive into this week is going to be physical model making. So from this point forward, we've done the first assignment, which was a group effort of getting all of our drawings. And then we went through the second effort, which was getting all of our diagrams together. And so this next one, you're going to be utilizing a lot of the information that you've created as a team, but your submission is actually going to be twofold, and it's going to be individual. So in terms of the physical models, what I want to focus on this week is going to be operative design, which is basically a combination of a program of the residence and the circulation of the residence, and doing this sort of how do you say, like solid and void relationship, and how they kind of intertwine with each other. And I'll go through a few examples of that. And then the second part of the assignment is a sensory model. And this is really focusing on materials, and it's going to be about a study model that's not, I don't care to see like perfect models or, wood trees and people, like we're not there yet. What I'm really focusing on right now when I'm talking about sensory modeling is evoking the material aspects of the residence. I know some of your teams have already developed some of the material palettes through the research and through the diagrams that I saw. And so you're basically going to be expanding on that, but just for a portion of the house. So everybody pretty much has the 3D model that you've been working on collectively, and you've broken it out into the 7 layers that we're going to review today. And then a few of you reached out with some program questions and massing and all that stuff. So I want you to kind of collect all of that you have from these 2 exercises. And I want us to really hone in on the part of the house that's going to be the Schindler side of the house. Moving forward, I want us to dismiss kind of the chase and the garage and all the kitchen spaces. And I want us to just kind of get a cube of focus in the Schindler courtyard, the Schindler studio, both Rudolph and Pauline, and the entrance to that whole studio setup, including their bathroom that happens in that space. So let's talk about operative design. When I was talking about massing earlier, the idea here is going to be taking that area of the plan of the Schindler studio portion and massing out the program and all of the rooms, whatever that means. So if I go back to this floor plan real quick, we're going to have, the studio, for both, we're going to have circulation that's both indoor and outdoor coming through that. And so when we're moving into the exercise, what I'm looking to see is the program masked out as one entity, so like one language, and then a massing of the actual circulation of how you move about that program. And then in essence, these 2 kind of combined are making your complete design of that structure or that building. One way that I'm sort of breaking this out for you to be able to move through it is you want to start out with like the complete massed volume of the area. And I encourage you to highly use materials that you can, cut and put back together. Again, I'm not really worried about the perfection of the materials right now. These are like study models. Okay, so they should be, the material should be durable enough to kind of play with, but you have to kind of get your hands dirty and kind of start breaking things up. So start with like a complete mass volume, and then you're going to start subdividing, because you're going to break it up by the program as defined in the diagrams. So if it's the studios, you're going to break it out into the studios. If it's the private sector, which is like the bathrooms, we're going to go ahead and break out into the the bathrooms. But what we're basically going to end up with is number 3, which is that extraction of the circulation as a subtraction operation. And so you'll have the void being the circulation and the solid being the actual program. Use materials that you can easily take apart and put back together. One cool thing is, if you look at the model on the left, you can use a glue gun, you can use tape, you can sort of use these different adhesive methods, but the point is that you're going to be able to get a void and a mass that's been sort of carved out by the circulation. And then on the photo on the right, this is using different materials of color to signify different programmatic aspects of the building, and then leaving the void to sort of carve out that volume. Just to clarify, real quick before I move on, the first portion or the first model that's due next week is going to be taking this portion of the plan and creating massings of it, a solid and void relationship between the program and the circulation. Or the second model that's due, I want us to focus on the sensory modeling aspect. And what this is going to give us is just basically the material expressions of the residence. And we're going to be working with the same area. So the same like blocked off area of just the Schindler studios. And what I want us to focus on is how to convey the actual aesthetic or the material aesthetic that's happening in the house. And sort of, if you will, there was a user experience kind of diagram that all the groups were assigned to do. And I want you guys to sort of bring that dialogue into this model. So the other model is really formal. We're playing with program, we're playing with circulation, solid and void. This model is going to be less based on program and more about feeling, more about material, more about the actual expression of that area. When I'm talking about sensory models, I'm really talking about some abstract approach to the emotions and the material experience of the house. So whereas the first one, you know, it was, you can use the same material, you can kind of carve it and do whatever. This one, I kind of want to see you guys integrate a variety of materials depending on how the residence or the program of the area that we're working on changes. You know, so if it's concrete, can you use one material that's concrete, another one that's wood, another one that's glass, or however you want to do it. Now, I want to be mindful that everybody has like a budget to work with, and given the circumstances of all the stuff that's going on in the world, you don't have to use real glass and you don't have to use real concrete. But the point is that you're able to use different materials or different textures or different kind of combinations of things to give us the expression in which the materials are either changing or they're staying the same. And now for the precedents, there's a couple of precedents here. This is Japanese architect Kengo Kuma. I want you guys to sort of research this guy's work. Just the different orchestration of the facade is something really interesting, and how all these sort of slats of wood are pivoted to, you know, maximize the sunlight or whatever. But at the end of the day, inside, it's a completely different language of the facade treatments too. And so this contrast of wood and metal is something that could be useful to you guys as a reference when you move forward on the modeling projects. And then for the second precedent, if you guys don't already know, Mexican architect Luis Barragán. The reason why I'm putting this as a precedent for you, their use of light, simple geometry, textures, and color really break up spaces in a way that just by doing textures or color, the user is transformed into a different space. And so I want you guys to take a look at both of these architects and how they utilize color, material, you know, spatial integrations in terms of indoor, outdoor, materiality change and stuff like that. So just to recap, we have two physical models, and I have to figure out how we're going to be able to pin that up, but I'm assuming right now it's going to be just based on photographs and some diagrams that you guys can do individually. You're no longer working in groups at this point, but you are able to use the group information that you created together in order to inform your designs. I want you guys to be working at a quarter scale and focusing in on just the Schindler portion of the house. And you're going to have two types of models. The first model is going to be the program and circulation model that I covered, which is something like this, where you have the massing of the program and you have the massing of the circulation. And at the end of the day, you should have a carved out kind of solid void relationship of the program and circulation. And then the second kind of model, it's a abstract materials, more sensory model. And this is really focusing on the same area of the plan or of the residence, but showcasing the material aspects and the sort of emotional and aesthetic process of the project.